I have a very, again, sensitive topic. This is really something that I guess is very common and a lot of people have had to endure. Okay? Cheating, infidelity. Why do people cheat? Why is there infidelity? Let's try and talk about it. The definition of infidelity is a broken prior arrangement, right? An arrangement of exclusivity, right? Exclusivity, right? And you really did not keep to that agreement. And it involves a sexual and emotional deal. Okay? So you're in a relationship where it's implied and it's agreed between the two of you that you will be exclusive. But it's broken. Why? Well, 20% of men in relationships cheat. Women, 15 to 20%. Guys, 20 to 25, women, 15 to 20. Studies show that, right? And there are quite a few studies out there. There's so many flaws in the study. Okay, so the way they collect the data, they could be lying, right? It's hard to sometimes know when they're telling the truth, right? For several reasons, they might not tell the truth. The culture, right? Depending on the culture of the person, it might be skewed because of their upbringing, because of where they come from, right? Nationality, the culture, the age. The younger ones are actually, much more engaged in sexual activity, right? Trends, right? Things happen, things come, things go, then things change, right? Social media has changed this. So things are really fluid. It's like it's hard to really keep that number, but that is pretty high. And some studies show 40% of relationships, including both marriage and, steady relationships, they do cheat. And we're talking about both men and women. Now, men more than women, okay? What types of infidelity are there? What types of cheating? So we know the most common one, right? The physical infidelity, where the sexual activity occurs with someone else outside the agreed partnership. Okay, that's the physical. Then there's the emotional. The emotional is where you have that bond, right? That love with your partner. But this partner of yours also has a bond with someone else. And there's no sex involved. It's just like they're very close. And it's almost like, okay, what are they doing over there all the time? They're either buddies, could be the same sex friend, it could be anybody. But the reality is that they are really involved more than normal. I don't like that word normal, more than usual with this other person all the time. Okay, and you start to suspect something might be happening, but there's nothing happening. They're just very, very good friends. It might go back to years ago, right? They might have this friendship that's been there forever, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna step back. I'm not gonna interfere. But it's like, makes you wonder all that time they spend over there. What about with you? Now, obviously, there's a good balance there. If it's a healthy relationship, no problem. If it's not a healthy relationship and it's affecting your relationship with your partner, and you feel neglected, you feel that you're not getting any attention, bring it up. Communication is key. But that emotional connection with that other person can be a form of infidelity. It's called emotional infidelity, right? Another type of infidelity is cyber infidelity, all right? So when you think cyber, you think porn, yes. Some couples do believe that when their partner is using porn and getting off and masturbating, that they're being infidel, they're cheating. And I don't know why, but I think there are many reasons for that. Again, religious upbringing, etc. Um, the social media also, right, has made that cyber infidelity just huge, blown it up out of proportion, right? So we know about the chatting, the groups, the individual, the Facebook, the dating, all that stuff. And we know about, this virtual world where people can connect and they can talk, all that stuff goes on. Some people will consider that cheating. Now, some will, some will not. It all depends on the couple. But you guys got to get that clear. What is cyber infidelity? Is it something that's important to you or not? Is porn important to you or not? Some people don't think it's a big deal, and others do. But you got to be clear from the beginning of the relationship what is important to you. Is your relationship going to be affected by porn or by video chatting, right? Or by just messaging, right? DMing. Is that a form of cheating? That's something you got to define in your relationship, okay? There's something called object cheating, object infidelity, all right? The phone is very classic. They're always on their phone. They're never with you. It's like, oh my gosh, they don't drop that phone. It's their lifeline, okay? So if that is that person that you're with, that's got to be addressed. Because sometimes if it's overly used, it's insulting, it's wrong. Because that instrument is not going to take the place of you. So the person needs to understand that that phone, that cell phone, has to be put away sometimes, especially when you're together. And you come to that agreement, you talk about it. Work, that's another object of cheating, right? If you're always at work and you're never at home, what do you think is going to happen? The person at work might fool around, the person at home might fool around, and we all know this happens. So that's called object infidelity. You can't negate each other. You cannot neglect each other like that. You've got to get together and have those times when you are dedicated not only to yourself, but to your family, to whatever's going on, right? So that you guys can actually spend more time together, quality time together, okay? There's something called financial cheating, right? So financial cheating is where you are being deceptive regarding finances. You're not either telling your partner how much you make, you're hiding the money somewhere, you're not telling the partner how you're making your money, you're not telling them how you make it. It's like, my goodness, the person thinks it's one way, but it's another way. Okay? Debt, the person doesn't know how much debt you're in, right? It doesn't know how you're borrowing money, how you're lending money. All that is deception, right? And so when you're in a relationship, that breaking of that promise to be together, bonded, right? To be, trusting of each other, right? So trusting is what we want, right? In a relationship, we want to have that bond, we want to have that love, right? But if you don't share these different, I guess, actions, you can really hurt the relationship. And that is going to be something that you've got to decide whether you can accept or not. Okay? So financial is huge. A lot of people say that, next to sex, financial is one of the highest reasons for divorce, right? Sex, and financials are very close. So you gotta be careful with that, right? Again, many reasons, but I'm trying to just say the different types of cheating that we can see. Then we have micro cheating. Micro cheating is thought to be more of the flirting, right? Now, flirting can be healthy flirting and it can be unhealthy flirting, right? Where you cross the line. So just know that when you are flirting, please make sure your partner is not, offended or doesn't have any issues with it. If they do, don't do it. Again, open communication. Let your partner know that you're just doing it either for fun or it's just light. But if it's something that's ongoing and very deep, your partner might not like that. So flirting is another tough topic. I personally think flirting can be healthy because sometimes you want to just confirm and acknowledge and see yourself in your element where you're really feeling in a good mood and you want to just sort of like test the waters and see. But again, very light and just being very kind and very nice and very sensual, but it doesn't go anywhere, right? No sex involved. Okay. Then there's the combined infidelity. The combined infidelity is where you have one or two of what I just talked about together, right? You could have the cyber infidelity with the physical infidelity, right? You get to meet them, you go and meet them, and that is where you're going to have the combined infidelity. That's very tough, right? So you want to be able to, first of all, know what type of infidelity you can accept and what you cannot accept. And if it's combined, you all need to get help. I mean, more than two is a lot, right? One is enough. Um, but if you try and you are able to identify the different types of infidelity, that'll be helpful for you to decide whether you can tolerate it or whether you can even, repair it or not. But that's the game plan. Can you repair it? I believe you can. But it depends. And that's why I have a part one, part two, probably part three. It's pretty intense. Um, sex and love, right? So sex is more of a physical need, right? And love is more of an emotional need. So can you love somebody and have sex with somebody else? And the answer is yes. Because love is an emotional need and sex is a physical need. For the guys, they say it's separate, right? For us, it's supposed to be close together. Guys further apart in our brains. Again, studies show that. It's very hard to, do studies like that. But whether sex and love are together or separate, from experience, I know, and I'm sure you also know, that it can be separate, especially with the guys. The guys can have sex without being in love. Women too now can have sex without being in love. But a lot of times we combine it in our relationships, right? We want the sex and the love to go together. But what if you're not giving sex or what if you're not giving love? They're going to seek it somewhere else. And that may be a cause of infidelity, which we'll talk about again later on. But just know that this is something that we can do something about. If you openly communicate and you're willing to negotiate and give and take, you can reach a happy compromise where both of you can have what you both need. But it really is about giving and taking. Very important. Okay? Very sensitive topic. But just know that we can be monogamous if we put our heads to it, if we, forgive the pun, if we think about it and we really, really focus on what the partner needs, what your partner wants, okay? All right, so why do we cheat? Okay. There are many reasons, and I've done some research, and there's so many reasons I can't even, it's just all over the place. But I want to say a few things. First of all, you've got to know your partner's love language, okay? I'm not going to talk about it now. Go and look it up. Your love language of your partner and your love language and your partner's love language. You got to know it. You've got to understand it. Please go and read up on that because it's something that will help you improve the relationship, okay? So that's very, very important. The other thing I want to mention right now is that, some people say that men exercise options, right? I know that's the late Kevin Samuels, RIP. But, exercising options is everyone's right, for women and for men. We both can. Especially now that women are making more money, more independent. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't submit. Hey, submit whenever you need to, girls. But I think the most important information for you is that the option is up to you. And sometimes men will take that option to cheat. And sometimes women will too. Again, more men do it than women. Agreed. But I'm going to say this, and I know this is going to be controversial, but this is my take my opinion. You have jerks, the bad guys, and you have the good guys, the non-jerks. Okay? So we've got to know the difference. The jerk and the non-jerk, the good guy, the bad guy. You've got to know, are you dealing with a good guy or bad guy? I mean girl or guy, man or woman. The good person, wait, right, which side? The bad person or the good person? Who are you dealing with? You've got to know who you're dealing with to know whether you can even cope with this infidelity if it happens. And you really want to sometimes get prepared for that, right? You're going to know. You're going to know instinctively, right? So there are signs, we'll talk about that later on, signs of infidelity, right? But I want you to understand, first of all, why they do it. And the first thing you got to know is he a jerk or is he a non-jerk? Okay? Is he really someone that is not worth fighting for, or is he someone worth fighting for? Okay? And I have my rules, which I tell my patients. They have 3 chances. I know you guys going to scream at me. 3 chances. Okay? I truly believe 3 chances. And again, for the good guy, not the bad guy. All right? Yes, go for counseling. Yes, sex expert or psychologist or an addiction specialist, because they do help sometimes. But a sex specialist, there are sex physicians that do specialize in sex addiction. So please, if you need to look into that, look into that. They do counsel. But for the person that's just sort of not too in depth with this or not too deep with this, not dangerous, and not life threatening, you can actually just know that they are 2 types of guys, and you've got to be able to identify them and know whether it's worth fighting for or not. And I do say 3 times. The first time, and again, do not let him get away with it. Do not forgive him easily. Give him hell or her hell. Do not just say, okay, I forgive you. No, that's the last thing you want to do. They've got to suffer. Now, wait. I don't mean revenge. I don't mean anything crazy or drastic. I just mean they've got to show that they are very sorry. And if they don't, that's another topic. We're going to talk about that again later on. But if they don't, then you got to think about it, okay? There's got to be some honest conversation going on. And again, we'll talk about that. But the first time, I do believe, generally you forgive. And again, it depends on how bad it is. I know if there's disrespect involved, it's tough. And if he's not worth it, forget it. If he's worth it, you might have to think twice, right? But remember, you've got to have some self-respect. And don't let him get away with it easily, okay? And there's got to be deep discussions. Again, therapy, all of that needs to happen before you decide whether you're going to accept it or not. But for me, I always say in general, the premise is in general, if he's worth it, the first time you forgive. Second time, I know. It depends on how you hear, it depends on how you find out. But my suggestion, and again, this is not in any textbook, this is not in any recommendation or any society that believes that this is the way to do it. This is just my personal experience and my personal opinion, that the second time, it's like pulling teeth. It's like, no, I don't want to forgive. But again, if he's worth it, if she's worth it, and then the third time, probably on your way out. Again, if it's disrespectful. But I do know that there are people that take it, more times than that. I do know a lot of people that actually have a serial cheater that they're living with. And they get what they get from it, right? And that's okay, as long as you can handle it. As long as no one gets hurt, right? No one gets hurt. But again, unhealthy for the kids if you have kids. It's very unhealthy for them to watch. So a lot of times I say, get help, get help, get help. Don't just allow that to happen, okay? So why do they cheat? I have 2 things I want to talk about. Tomorrow we'll talk about some more. Tomorrow or next week. There's so many reasons why guys cheat. But I do want you to understand also that there are categories. I can put them in categories, okay? Individual reasons why we cheat. There's something within the individual, right? Me, you, there's something going on in us. It could be psychological. It could be biological. It could be cultural, okay? So that culture where we were brought up, sometimes they say, oh, men have to cheat, right? Women, close your legs, especially in the African culture, right? In some other cultures, women are not seen and not heard. All right? So again, let's stay in the Western world. Some families do bring up their men to go and philander, right? And that's what they feel. So that cultural aspect of how you treat women is very important. Their values, how they value women, how they treat their mother. We always say, watch how they treat their mother, right? You're going to have to understand all those three areas. The psychological, are they okay? Are they showing traits, personal traits of narcissism, right? Are they selfish? Are they, again, depressed? Are they anxious? Are they lacking empathy? They have no feelings for anybody. A psychopath, right? Ooh, that scares me. Are they a psychopath? Right? If they are, they're not going to care about you. If they're narcissists, they're not going to care about you. So again, remember the good guy, the bad guy, you got to know psychologically, where are they? Where are you? Again, this is for men and for women. I'm trying not to put it on men only, but I'm trying to say for everyone, we need to know if they're cheating, these different issues and these different factors, okay? So I said psychologically, biologically. So biologically, all right, now you know my favorite hormone, testosterone, right? Testosterone is going to be high in those that cheat. Both men and women, I measure it all the time. I see women's testosterone levels so high, I'm like, girl, where'd you get that from? And they're born like that. Yep, they're born like that. Okay? Some in their 70s and 80s, higher than their partners, higher than their men's. And when I say higher than the men's, their sex drive is higher than the men's, not the testosterone. Their sex drive, because their sex hormone testosterone is higher than the usual, but the men always have higher. But when it's low in a man, it's very low, and they don't sexually have any desire. They have a low libido. Okay? So biologically, not only hormones, but the anatomy. Remember I talked about the anatomy, of the body, your height, your smell, all that stuff, the biology, right? Your dopamine, your oxytocin, all these things will determine whether you're going to cheat or not. We have ADH, vasopressin. We have uh, again, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, right? These hormones can tip someone to sometimes say, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure why I'm feeling like this. And they're cheating because they have too much testosterone. And yes, I've said it before. I've had a guy with testosterone. He came to me, Dr. Kathy, please castrate me. Please castrate me, he said. I said, I am not castrating you, my love. He goes, Dr. Kathy, I want to sleep with everything, anything I see. I want to. I'm like, okay, hold on. You want to sleep with anything that you see? He said, yeah. Now I won't go into the graphics, but I did not do any or recommend any castration, but I did give him a shot of the female hormone. And that's what they used to do back in the day in the jails. Give him a female hormone, calm him down. So I gave him balanced his hormones. I didn't bring down his testosterone because I knew it was going to come down eventually. I gave him some female hormones just to calm him down. And some progesterone. Again, they calm you down. Those that have too much testosterone. Instead of giving a prescription to block it, I can do that. But I try not to. So again, see your doctor if you have that issue. Go get your levels checked. But yes, biologically, things can happen, right? And again, there's more to it. The thyroid, the adrenal glands, the cortisol, all that goes with it. Again, neurotransmitters. It's a very complicated weave of physiological and biological things that go on that might make somebody more prone to cheat. But there is a test, and I've mentioned this before. There's a test that you can do, a blood test that will actually tell you whether he or she, two different blood tests, will cheat. Now, do I recommend it? Absolutely not. Number one, I think it's looking for trouble, okay? But I just want you to know that biologically, you've got to understand your partner, that sometimes they can't help it. Honestly, you guys, you're female, you're male. If you have high testosterone through the roof, it's like, oh my goodness, right? So you might have to get that checked. And I'm not saying to reduce it, but have something to counteract it. And again, you're going to need some psychological intervention too. But yes, the reason why I'm saying this is for you to understand there are reasons that we cannot control. So you've got to understand and get help, both of you. The partner that's being cheated on and the partner that's doing the cheating. Okay? You both got to get help and see whether you can get to fix some of these issues so that it doesn't happen again. Because if you don't, it might happen again. Okay? So, like I said, the individual could be the reason, right? The relationship could be the problem, why they're having that problem with fidelity, right? The relationship, the person that's not showing love, right? That engagement, that two-way street, that love. What is love? What is romance? The relationship involves two individuals, right? So that's the complexity of it, right? Plus the interaction of the two, right? So you've got to know, is this occurring because of the individual or the interaction in the relationship? Okay. Or is it, again, the environment? Is the environment? Are there sexy women everywhere he goes? Does he work at the nightclub? Does he work in the strip club? Right? Does he work in a job where there's so many beautiful women around? Or is it just, you know, he's just everything he sees is tantalizing. It's like, ooh, tantalizing. So the question now is the environment conducive for him? Is it too sexual? Now, whether it is or not, you should still be able to keep everything together, right? Yes. But these are things that you might have to consider if it becomes a problem, right? So the environment is something, or the opportunity that might arise. Are there opportunities for him to actually engage in, cheating? So that's when you got to look in, is there alcohol involved, drugs, medicines, all that stuff you got to look into. But again, that is that relationship. Is it something that's going on? Is he, doing something that is going to interfere with the relationship? And then with the environment, is he around alcohol, drugs, people that are a bad influence? Okay, so look into that. Does the opportunity always present itself? So that's something that you got to find out and take away that opportunity if it's interfering with your relationship and if you don't like it, right? But yes, those are some of the things, those are the categories we're going to talk about. And I'm going to go in depth on part 2 as to why I believe and why it says out there, studies show that people cheat. But I want to bring up 2 that I think are very important. So 2 reasons why people cheat, men and women. Okay. Neglect. Okay. Now that's part of a relationship thing. So if you're neglecting your partner, that's huge. And these are very important because your sexual infidelity is going to, the chances of that happens going to rise, because a man, right, they have their ego. We have some, but they have much more, right? And that's because they have much more testosterone. They are like, woohoo, they need to be worshipped. Yes, I'm going to say the guys, oh my gosh, girls, we need to, if we want to keep our guys, now y'all will probably disagree with me, but I'm telling you, that is important for the man. The man needs to feel he's King Kong. Now, I didn't know this. Why? Because I didn't grow up like that. Why? My father was very simple. R.I.P. Dad. But my mother's relationship with him was definitely respectful back in the day. Times have changed now, right? So it's so hard for us women to be respectful to men. But I'm telling y'all, you gotta be. You're going to affect your relationship if you're not. Men need to be men. Men need to be respected. Men need to be shown appreciation. They need to be shown attention. They need to be shown love. Now, we need it too. Okay, yes. But I believe we're stronger than men. I believe we're stronger emotionally. I believe we're stronger not physically, but I think we're stronger in terms of resilience. Why? Because we carry babies for 9 months when we're pregnant, sometimes longer, right? So can they do it? No, they cannot. So we have an extra gift of patience. So we have to be able to show our men how that they are our leader, right? Because we want them to lead, right? Now, if you want to lead, ladies, go ahead and lead. Me, I want a leader, right? And when you have a leader, he's got to be appreciated, right? If you're neglecting him, he's going to want to go somewhere, and this is the man and the woman too. She's going to want to go somewhere where she's shown attention. And that's big for women too, right? So we need attention, but so do they. So how do you balance it? You've got to have a happy balance, right? You've got to make sure that both of you are getting that attention and that love, and that language of love will help, right? How do you show love? Again, language of love will come in. Okay, so please, 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 if you are not paying attention to your partner, start immediately. Which means, come on, you guys, you got to be very creative. You've got to be able to know what she or he likes, and loves. And do it as many times as you can in a week. Every day you should do something, right? To show your gratitude to your partner. And again, both ways. But you guys, I know you need more because your ego is huge. So that's a big topic for me. So if there's anything I'm going to say that you're going to remember, and I'm going to say a lot, the number one thing is going to be do not neglect your partner. Pay detailed attention to your partner. Now, don't overdo it. Now, I don't believe in overdoing things. No, 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 no. You need your space, right? You need your space. He needs your space. I believe in that. So, but I'm saying that have the conversations. Find out whether he feels neglected. Find out whether he feels underappreciated. Okay, and then find out, and then do it. Do something about it, and then be serious and don't joke about it, and be consistent. I think that's going to be the secret to a very long-lasting relationship, marriage, right? And decrease the chances of breaking up or divorce. Okay? So, numero uno, pay attention to your partner. Otherwise, that is a risk for cheating, or there is a risk for cheating. All right. Number two, I'm going to call it a day. Number two, to me, is as important, just slightly second to number one. Shame. Okay. Now, shame is not the shame I'm talking about after the fact. I'm talking about shame before it even happens. All right. So it's a little bit of a confusing issue here. So let me try and break it down for you. When a person is very sexual, and you know me, I'm going to focus on sex because that's my expertise. They may not be telling their partner about how sexual they are and all the fantasies and all the sexual desires they have in their head. Why? Because the relationship that they have with their partner is more of love, friend, respect, admiration. You just love your partner because your partner either is a friend that became, a partner, or it's someone that you respect and someone that, you depend on. And so you have that relationship where you really put it on a pedestal or put him on a pedestal. So you really don't want to tell your partner about your desires, your secret desires, right? Your secret fantasies. And some people come to me, Dr. Kathy, how do I elevate my game in the bedroom? I'm like, okay, tell me the situation. And sometimes that's what they tell me, that the partner is really plain, right? Woman, plain Jane, right? And she's not very creative in the bedroom. And he's worried about bringing that up because he doesn't want to spoil or hurt her or insult her. He feels shame that he has all, and she does too. She or he feels shame that they have all these thoughts and all these desires inside and they can't really express it to their partner. So they go out. Okay? Now, is that a good reason? Absolutely not. Why? Because if the partner has the courage to talk with if the individual has the courage to talk with their partner, they'll be able to tell them exactly what they feel. Now, I can do that. I'm pretty straightforward. But I know that I'm a little bit more straightforward than the average bear, right? So if you're not able to tell your partner, men, tell your women, women, tell your men, men, women, women, if you cannot do that, there is a chance that that person will step up to get satisfaction in that particular sexual desire. And I'm not going to go into the sexual desire because it depends on each person. But honestly, if someone has shame that they might think that they're harlots, or they think that they're sex addicts, or they think that they're obsessed with sex, right? So people that are obsessed with sex, they may say, oh my God, maybe something's wrong with me. I can't let anyone know. I'm ashamed. I have a fear of people knowing who I truly am, right? Instead of being more free, right? Because some people maybe were brought up, nope, sex is bad. Or religion made them believe that sex is not to be, expressed in one way or the other, right? Simple one is porn. I've had two couples come to me. Again, one couple, they just couldn't keep it together because he wanted to watch porn all the time and she didn't. And she promised him before they got married that she would, but she just couldn't. And so they came to me and said, Dr. Kathy, what do we do? So it's very important to have your willingness to partake, depending on how important it is to your partner. And he may not tell you, she may not tell you, so you've got to openly ask and have that discussion. Baby, do you have any fantasies? Baby, do you have any needs that I can offer you, that I can do for you or do with you sexually, right? Now, again, this is between consenting adults. This is with, of course, protection. Y'all know the rule with me. This is between consenting adults, and you've got to make sure that the other person is agreeing. The marriage, same thing, okay? But you want to know the innermost secrets of your partner when it comes to sex, to satisfy your partner, all right? So that is important. Now, if you don't, again, he's going to step out. If he steps out, he's going to give all sorts of excuses. If she steps out, she's going to give all sorts of excuses. Do you forgive? That depends on you, okay? But I want you to understand, before we get to that point, try your best. Now, even if you do, is the chance there of the person cheating? Yes, there is, because there are other reasons why they might cheat, right? But you want to check off that list. I have done my best to satisfy him sexually with his desires. Because if you do, I think it's a good percentage of his happiness that you'll be achieving with his sexual desires, right? Making him very happy if you can get that going. Because men love sexual desires and love to engage in sex. And it should be both ways, satisfying you, satisfying himself. So don't forget, yes, you want to make sure that you know what he wants and that he knows what you want sexually in the bedroom so that we can have a great relationship, right? With love forever and ever. I'm always going to say that, as long as we can, as long as we're alive. Keep it going, okay? So that is what I'm going to talk about today. I hope you got some good nuggets from that. We'll talk again. I think today is Thursday. I don't know if today or Friday or next week, Monday, part 2 of why we cheat and whether we can actually stop it. Okay? All right. See you later. Bye.